Die Walküre, Act 1, Inside a Dwelling, Hounds and Wolves. The night following the events in Rheingold. Storm winds have brought down an old ash tree on Wotan's estate. It has landed on the house of Hunding, who serves as Wotan's watchman. He rushes to restore the failed power supply, leaving his exhausted wife, Wotan's daughter Sieglinde, alone with the encroaching water. She is expecting a child. Is Hunding really the father? The storm drives yet another intruder into the house. Siegmund returns to his birthplace as a vagrant named Wolfcub Wewald. His twin sister, Sieglinde, who has not seen her brother since childhood, does not recognize him at first, but offers him shelter and dry clothes. Siegmund touches Sieglinde's heart with tales from his supposed past. Upon his return, Hunding is, of course, not blind to the suggestive glances between the siblings, and not deaf to the unlawful actions that are described by the stranger's words. Out of respect for the right to hospitality, he waits until the next day to hold Siegmund accountable. Siegmund despairs about his ill fate. Sieglinde also begins to contemplate her situation. She enthusiastically envisions Siegmund as her companion and finally confides her innermost thoughts to him. By putting the pieces of the puzzle together, the unexpected meeting of the siblings turns into a revelation about their origins, opening the door to their shared childhood. In their childhood bedrooms, they happily rediscover the rituals of the past and seem to abandon themselves to the exhilaration of reunion, but reality forces them to flee. Act 2, A Rocky Wilderness, Our Father's Will. The next morning, in the atrium, the extended family is gathered at Freya's coffin. She was not able to recover from her abduction. Wotan, on the other hand, is overjoyed by the arrival of Brünnhilde, embracing his favorite illegitimate daughter, in whom he now places his hope. Fricka dampens her husband's premature enthusiasm and confronts him with his countless transgressions. Hunding stands by her as a despondent witness to adultery. Crushed by the burden of his responsibility, Wotan must impotently bow to his wife's demands and allow for the fatal punishment of his son Siegmund. Fricka's victory leaves Wotan broken. Brünnhilde, his daughter of will and nature, consoles him. Wotan freely shares with her the details of his predicament and lets her in on his secret plans. She decides, however, to fulfill her father's wishes precisely by disobeying his orders. For the time being, however, she must pretend to comply. The reunited siblings take refuge in Valhalla's no-man's land. Here, Siegmund builds a makeshift bed for Sieglinde, who is plagued by guilt and labor pains. In an act of compassion, he accepts her unborn child as his own and guards her troubled sleep. It now falls upon Brünnhilde, whose actions are guided by force, to inform Siegmund of his impending death. But he would rather take Sieglinde and her unborn child with him to the grave than accept the fate that has been dealt to him. Overwhelmed, Brünnhilde promises to stand by her half-brother. Sieglinde, in the throes of labor, is haunted by the dark secrets surrounding the conception of her Welsung child. In the ensuing battle of Hunding, Siegmund appears victorious, but Wotan's unexpected intervention costs his son his life. Brünnhilde flees with Sieglinde, who is about to give birth, from Wotan's unbridled wrath. Act 3, On Top of a Rocky Mountain, Successions and Resignations. Shortly after, an elegant waiting room. 8 daughters of Wotan, indulging in the cult of youth and beauty, pass the time on their upholstered furniture with filthy chatter until the next sensation. Even their guards and servants are not exempt from the ladies' crude jokes. Brünnhilde bursts in with the breathless Sieglinde and her newborn child and urgently begs for help. Startled, the half-sisters make space for her. Sieglinde is persuaded to flee from Wotan's revenge with her child, who is to be named Siegfried. Deeply touched, she turns her back on this world, while Brünnhilde steadfastly awaits the arrival of her angry father. Before everyone's eyes, Wotan denounces his favorite daughter, who has fallen into a deep silence. Her arbitrary misinterpretation of her father's will demands expulsion from the dynasty. Enraged, the father expels the other daughters from his house. Alone together, Brünnhilde and Wotan exchange final words. Her misplaced compassion has betrayed his expectations, but Brünnhilde is not to perish. Although Wotan must abandon all hopes of preserving his family and his business, and can no longer maintain his system, Brünnhilde is to endure the ages, unscathed, but in loneliness. Wotan will never see his daughter again and resigns from his duties. Freed of his responsibilities, a newfound freedom awaits the sorrowful god. Fricka feels gratified and appears for a conciliatory rendezvous, but her husband leaves her and his old life behind. The end of an era.